Hello everyone, and welcome back to What If Videl Became a Saiyan. This is part 2. As always, I'll leave links to the previous parts in the description and in the cards. As always, I'd like to remind you guys to subscribe if you haven't already, it really does help me out. I'm also on Patreon. I'm trying to make what I do here on YouTube more of a full-time thing, so if you want to support that, Patreon is the best place. You'll get your chosen name featured in every video while you're subscribed, and if you're super tier or higher, you'll even be able to watch all of my videos completely ad-free. And on top of that, I now have YouTube membership for only 99p, where you'll also have your name featured. Please consider one of these options if you want to support my channel and content further, as it means that I'll be able to focus more time on the channel. Thank you all very much. Last time, Videl surprised everyone by wishing to become a Saiyan, in an effort to complete the Super Saiyan God ritual. This worked, and for the next few arcs Videl worked hard to catch up, even becoming a Super Saiyan God herself before the Tournament of Power. But there was a long way still to go. With Moro approaching Earth, and time very much not on their side, Gohan and Videl enter the Room of Spirit and Time. Videl and Gohan go all out against each other in the room, pushing their limits and reaching new heights together. Gohan helps Videl push past the Super Saiyan barrier, with her becoming Super Saiyan 2. Why is this relevant? Well, in the grand scheme of Super, it isn't overly important. But in terms of character, it is. See, Videl has been pursuing the route of God Ki, but hasn't really worked too hard on her regular Super Saiyan forms. If, for any reason, she ends up too weak to use her God Ki, it's important that she knows how to regulate the energy consumption of the regular Super Saiyan forms, in order to conserve energy, so in a pinch, she can still use them. Gohan also gets a lot out of this training. He's a fair bit stronger than in canon now, and can work in perfect synergy with Videl, using team attacks to their advantage. Once the two leave the Room of Spirit and Time, they continue their training with Piccolo, who also wants to work on team attacks and strategy for when Moro arrives. 2 months pass, and Earth's warriors stand ready. Videl has now mastered Super Saiyan God, and Gohan is now the strongest we've ever seen him in manga canon. Once Moro's forces arrive, Gohan, Videl and Piccolo team up to defeat 7-3, and it goes a lot more smoothly this time. However, they still hit a snag, as Sagambo still gets a power-up or 3 from Moro. He's just too strong for them at this point, and is on the verge of winning when Goku arrives. He uses Ultra Instinct to take down Sagambo, while Moro pumps him with even more power. Eventually, Sagambo's body just gives out, and he dies. This is when Moro enters the fight, fascinated by Goku's new form, and wanting to test his power. Goku is itching for a good fight too. Eventually though, his battle with Moro goes the same way as always, with Goku dropping out of the form. That's when Vegeta makes his appearance, using instant teleportation to get to Earth. Vegeta steps forward to fight, but quickly reveals that he's learned something new. He lands a few successful blows on Moro, who as a result loses energy to Vegeta's forced spirit fission. Eventually, Vegeta whittles Moro down to his original state, but as always, Moro gets his hands on 7-3, restoring his power. After copying and knocking Vegeta out, he makes quick work of everyone who tries to fight him, including Goku, who has his chest pierced, but also Videl, who stands back up. Gohan pleads with her not to go, but she launches herself at Moro, and gets her arm broken, and then she's blasted away for her trouble. She lands near Gohan, alive, but really not doing well. Gohan's face contorts with anger, his fists clench and his muscles tighten. His eyes turn red and his hair turns white, growing and standing on end. Yes, due to this, Gohan has reached his new form much earlier than in canon. Gohan confronts Moro, and honestly makes quick work of him. Gohan is roughly on par with Goku at this point, and with all the fresh anger to finish Moro off without mercy. He remembers what happened with Cell, and he wants to make sure Moro can never come back. Gohan obliterates him for good with a Super Kamehameha. Dende heals the group, saving Goku and Videl, the both of whom are seriously impressed by Gohan's new power. They want to test it, making Gohan wonder why all of this always happens to him. It's also interesting to note that Miris didn't have to get involved, not properly this time anyway, so he should be fine as well, and still an angel in training. Now, we skip forward a bit. Gohan is, for all intents and purposes, still lost in work. We don't know at this point if beast form is something he'd need to work hard to retain yet, so I'm going to say that he still has access to it at the moment. The biggest change to this next arc is going to be Pan. I left a poll a little while ago whether pregnant Videl's wish affects Pan or not. The majority of you said yes it does, so Pan here would be a 3/4 Saiyan. This not only means she wants to train more than the original, but I think Videl would have trained her as well. At least a little. Both her and Gohan lead very busy lives, but this Videl would find some time for training. That makes this Pan marginally stronger than canon. Of course, it doesn't really affect much seeing as she is playing a hostage through most of the superhero arc. But we will get onto Pan in potentially a future part. Of course, Trunks and Goten's superhero antics go the same way as they always do, and Dr. Hedo ends up in prison. This leads neatly into the superhero arc. Of course, Piccolo has still been training Pan, and everything goes the same way as the movie until the fight at the Red Ribbon base. Gohan is, by default, in his ultimate form this time, and therefore defeats Gamma number 1 handily. It's only when number 2 steps in that it becomes a problem for him, and Piccolo has to step in to help. With his power having recently been unlocked, Piccolo eventually becomes Orange Piccolo, and then manages to convince Gamma number 2 that they're wrong about Capsule Corp. Unfortunately, Cell Max is still released. Krillin number 18, Goten and Trunks show up just like the original, but also so does Videl, although it becomes clear very quickly that Super Saiyan God isn't much against Cell Max. Trunks and Goten's fail fusion reveals Cell Max's weakness just like in canon, and Videl ends up delivering a hefty blow to its arm, completely destroying it. Piccolo restrains Cell Max while Gohan powers up into his beast form and fires off a Makanko Sapo, destroying Cell Max. Dr. Hedo and the Gammas are given positions at Capsule Corp, just like the original, and Videl, now sick of being left behind, petitions Whis for his training. But for now, we're out of story. I will likely continue this What If when there's more story available, as I haven't been able to explore Pan's potential too much in this part. If you'd prefer for me to skip to the end of Z and then go into a more unique version of GT, that's also an option, so let me know what you think in the comments. I'd like to give a shout out to my channel members, Adariel, Madaro Chiha, Raven, and Stephanie Daphne. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this What If, please subscribe and drop me a like. The algorithm is a tough place to exist for a smaller channel like mine. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.